Welcome back to the Fast Life Podcast, which is brought to you by Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. Without a doubt, Simpson has been my go-to helmet since 2016. Their iconic and aggressive style has set them apart from other brands. Simpson offers many different styles of helmets to fit your taste and budget. Head on over to simpsonmotorcyclehelmets.com to check out all the different options they have for you, and give these guys a follow on Instagram at Simpson Motorcycle Helmets. On today's episode, we have the meme king, Papa Juan, who I got to hang out with, ride with, and stay with during my trip out to Born Free, California. Now, Juan's out of San Diego County, and he literally lives close to some of the best riding I've got to experience. I gotta admit, it's pretty badass there. Anyway, we had a great time hanging out, shooting the shit, drinking some beer, eating some tacos. Had a great time. Thank you, Juan, for all the hospitality, showing me the city and the roads. Anyway, let's jump to these sponsors. We're getting right into this episode. Cowboy Harley Davidson is located in South Austin, and they are ready to help you get on the new bike you have been thinking about, or help you get your current bike dialed in with all the performance parts and upgrades you need. From service to sales and everything in between, check them out at cowboyharleyaustin.com and on Instagram at Cowboy Harley Austin. They have new 2023 bikes rolling in daily, so give them a call or head in and let them know that the Fast Life sent you. Our longest running podcast supporter, Lexin Moto, and our Bluetooth headset of choice here at the Fast Life since 2019, is still here providing you with one of the best Bluetooth headsets on the market, the G16, which I personally use on my motorcycle rides to check out everything from my favorite playlists to my favorite podcast. The battery life and sound quality is amazing on these headsets. Earlier this year, Lexin dropped the Smart Tire Pump, which became an instant everyday carry for many people on motorcycle trips. Well, now they have refined and taken the pump to new levels with the Lexin Smart Tire Pump Gen 2, which now offers an internal cooling fan, is 20% smaller in design, and can double as a portable charger while you're away from civilization. Pair these great products with some of the best customer service in the industry, and head on over to lexin-moto.com and drop the Fast Life offer code to save yourself 15% off your order. And don't forget to give these guys a follow on Instagram at Lexin Moto. If you have seen any of my personal bikes in person or on the gram over the past 6 years, you will definitely notice my ongoing support for Lucky Dave's. Their seats have always fit my ass perfectly and had the style profile I prefer in the 2-up seat game. I have ran the San Diego bars on my FXR and Dynas for years. Now I currently run the Peacemaker bar and riser series on my 2020 Road Glide. These bars are dope with many options to customize the appearance, as well as get you dialed at the right height and hand position. I would go as far to say that the Lucky Dave's riser bar is one of the most comfortable bars on the market, no matter what risers you put them in. Check out all the options for your ride at luckydaves.com and give these guys a follow to stay up on product releases and inventory restocks on the gram at Lucky Daves.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Fast Life Podcast.
What do you do the first thing in the morning usually?
Get up and scroll through Instagram. Play with the dog. Just kind of lay there for a while. During the week, I'll get up early and just get up and go straight to the gym.
Yeah.
Just get the day started. But you know, if I'm not going to the gym that day, I'm not in a hurry to get up.
Yeah, I was on a good kick for a while, and it's been totally screwed for the last month and a half. It's on a good kick. Well, what happened was I got tennis elbow real bad right now.
Yeah.
And I've never had that before. And that really takes the wind out of you wanting to work out because it hurts like a motherfucker.
It does. So I have shoulder issues, and so I have to get cortisone shots. And the cortisone shots work great. And for years, the doc had me do MRIs and stuff and make sure there wasn't anything weird. And he's like, no, there's nothing weird. There's no reason not to. So he shoots him up. And so so I had the right shoulder done probably like 3 months ago. Mm-hmm. And I was a little worried for the long trip that okay, is it going to make it all the way through? And it was good. And I tried to get the left shoulder because I knew the left shoulder was coming up. I tried to get that one done before I left, and they didn't get me in. So by the end of the trip,
it was hurting.
It was hurting. And then that 1,000 miles up to Oregon, 1,000 miles back. By the time I got back, it was pretty sore. So and then I got the cortisone shot on Monday. So I got back from Oregon Sunday night, went in first thing Monday. That's when the appointment was scheduled. Got it. And it's still, dude, it was fucking still killing me. Monday, Tuesday, I was actually walking down the steps. I think it was Tuesday night. I had socks on, no shoes. And so I'm walking down the steps and I kind of slip a little bit and I go to grab the railing and dude, it hurt so bad. I thought I tore something in my shoulder. It hurt that bad. I was like, motherfucker. And then, so it was smoke checked all day Wednesday, pretty sore. And then Thursday I was feeling better. Friday, feeling better. And so today I noticed when we crossed the border going to Mexico, it was the first time I reached up to do the camera thing. And I noticed, so before it was like kind of a shooting pain. Now I go to grab it and it's like this right. So right here, I'm good right here and I'm good here, but just this range right in here. Yeah. But earlier in the week, like it would be shooting pain right there. But so like, it was funny.
So it's basically the same thing as like tennis elbow. It's just in the shoulder, right?
Fucked. Yeah. I don't know.
So, for the people listening, like you're holding a GoPro, with the jaws clamp, and I had the same clamp. And so because my left hand is that, every time I try to take it off,
you're like, oh,
I'm like, I feel like a baby child with no grip strength, and when I try to do it, it hurts.
Dude, that's it. Just coming down the hill, like I was trying to do that last, and I was like, all right, this is gonna be the last one, because I go to grab it, and I'm like, I get it down, and then going to put it back up, I'm like, I can't get it. Yeah, it's terrible. It's ridiculous, and it'll be fine within a couple of days. It's just I let it go so far and got so sore before I got it dealt with. But
so what does the cortisone shots do? Is it like a once every couple of months, or
it's when I first started getting it, it was like once every, I think I got one, and the next one I had to get was like 3 years later. Oh, it was only my right shoulder. And then the interval was like maybe a year, and it's still just in the right shoulder. And then, funny thing is, last year when I rode to see you, when I rode to Utah, so that riding with the LFG guys to Utah, that was like 1,200 miles in those first couple of days. And then from St. George, Utah, I rode straight to you, straight through. That was 11, I think that was like 1150. And then we did the show that one day, and then got up the following morning and then rode the 1385 back. And by the time I got back, both shoulders, that's when my left shoulder
kind of went out,
started giving me problems. And so, yeah, I mean, it was, almost 5,000 miles in 5 days or something like that. It kind of got smoke checked. So I knew, like, when I got back after that trip, I'm like, man, that shit hurts. Like it was, yeah. So, but the cortisone shots, it's part of being a fucking old man. It works. It's just, it seems lately the last couple of rounds, it's taken a few days for it to start feeling better. Whereas before, like as soon as he fucking juiced that thing, man, I was like, oh, I'm good. Like straight to the gym, I'm good. Now it's like, ooh, no, I got to take it easy for a couple of days. Yeah. And this one, I mean, today's Saturday. I got it done on Monday. And today is the first day, knock on wood, that I'm not feeling any shooting pain, but it's, this movement right there is, not super comfortable, but
I have had the pleasure of running Arlen Ness motorcycle products on my Road Glide and now Lowrider ST. From wheels to handlebars and everything in between, Ness has the parts to not only make your motorcycle look badass, but also perform better. A great place to start on your custom journey is with one of the 12 different custom air cleaners Ness provides, giving you options to fit your budget and taste. There is no shortage of killer products for you to enhance your motorcycle riding experience. Head on over to arlenness.com to see the vast parts catalog and drop Fast Life 10 in all caps to save yourself 10% off the entire website. And don't forget to give these guys a follow on the gram at Arlen Ness Motorcycles. Now let's get back to the show. That's the scary thing about, like, you know, as someone like yourself that likes to travel on these motorcycles like I do, I think that this trip is the first time I've done a trip where I'm like worried that I won't be able to do this forever. Yeah. And so, you know, I told you I ate a salad today for lunch. Like, it's shit like that. Yeah. All right. I'm going to, like, I'm trying to be, I've been doing very well, but like how I started this conversation was the last month and a half has been just the balls to the wall work since the camp out to get everything done for everybody and get this bike done to make this trip. You know what I mean? And so there's just so many things. I mean, dude, it was like how busy it was. I had to schedule to have sex with my wife. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, babe, all right, I want to so bad, but I'm fucking out of it.
Tired, smoke checked.
It's not going to be good.
14-hour days.
It's usually not good. This was definitely not going to be good.
Did you buy her a new toy? Just like, here, just don't get too used to it, though. Here, use this for a little while. It'll be fine.
It's got to be disposable. That way it's only good for a couple rounds.
Right, exactly. You don't want them to get too comfortable with that. But, I had that same. So when I slipped on the stairs a little bit and like that shooting pain, I thought for sure I'd torn something. And like one of the first thoughts I had was like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to ride this, you know, like if I'm going to have surgery, my head just started spinning. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have surgery. I'm going to have to, you know, because it hurt that bad. So luckily that's not the case.
That's always that brings me to a thought that I've had. You ever heard that thing where they say like the last leg of the trip is the one you're most careless on? Yeah. And a lot of wrecks happen on? Yeah. Well, I think the last couple of days before a trip is when it seems like the entire world's trying to keep you from being able to go on a trip. Yeah. Right? And
I am super superstitious. Before I go on a trip, I did it before a deployment, before any important mission. Like I would... Like if it was something that important, I would like throttle way back and just not like, I won't go to the gym. I won't drive any extra than I have to just so that like nothing can happen, you know, before I go. Cause I'm pretty superstitious when it comes to that.
I think I am too. I never wanted to label myself that way, but I do rituals with things like loose rituals. Yeah. Like, all right, this trip, like when I first started traveling on bikes, my ritual was get hammered the night before. But then it was like hangovers didn't really exist to me. Oh, man. It just helped me go to sleep because before a trip, I wouldn't be able to sleep, you know, so.
Yeah, alcohol fucks up my sleep bad. It does. Oh, yeah, it ruins my sleep.
Dude, I know I'm supposed to do the podcast with the LFG guys this weekend, and I don't publicly want to say this on theirs because then I'm gonna be held to it, but I don't know how much more drinking I have in me. Like I thought way back just in general, but it's the podcasting where it happens.
Dude. Yeah. You know I mean? I've seen it. Yeah. Like, man, you guys are on a good one. And I would be, I can't, like hangovers for me, you know, it's not good. So like I can drink beer all day long. I drank beer on the beach today, literally all day long, and crossing back across the border was fucked today. Normally it's not, and it was just fucked. And so the anxiety of trying to navigate all around Tijuana to try to find the way back. And, you know, there's 5 of us total. So I've got 4 buddies behind me that are kind of relying on me to find the right way and like not get in trouble. Dude, my buzz was gone by the time I crossed that border and told you like, all right, I'm back. And when I pulled up, I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
But you know, so now I can drink this beer. I can drink beer all day long and be okay. But the dark spirits, man, that shit.
Yeah, so
I can't do that.
I know where they kick in at now.
Yeah.
2.5 hours on a whiskey podcast.
It's not good.
It's not good.
That's when the shirts come off.
Fortunately, the shirts have been staying on lately. It's what I've been having a hard time with is that there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that just we don't talk about, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to shine light on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In any kind of way. To blow it up as to drama that people can latch to and regurgitate or just putting it out there, right? Mm-hmm. And I have a tendency at that 3-hour mark to be vocal about things that I mean it, but I don't want to put it out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And,
That's when you get yourself in trouble and listen back to it like, ugh, do I edit that out? Yeah, well, no. Fuck it.
I don't know. I'm passionate about this world that we live in, this motorcycle culture, and not that I'm a gatekeeper of any kind of thing, but man, when I see somebody just fucking it up, like I want to say something.
Yeah, absolutely. And people listen. Like people are still going to be pissed off at you and be like, "Oh, Jace, he's an asshole." But like, no, like. The guy's been around a little bit. You know what the hell you're talking about. So, it may not be,
the best
filtered.
delivery.
It may not be filtered, the best way. But, I think even the people that aren't the hugest fans are probably still listening. So
yeah. I mean, they definitely are because
they still keep coming at you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, man, I haven't. We had the Ray thing, but that fizzled out whenever we had a conversation. And I mean, dude, I know people don't like me, right? But nobody says anything to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like people will say like, "Oh, I just don't agree with Jace." And I'm like, "Well, about what, dude? Like, I don't give you my stance on vaccines, dude.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
You don't agree with the way that I think that we should carry ourselves as motorcycles and men and whatnot in this industry and this scene. What about it? Like, you don't want to be a good person and you don't want to ride. You're not into that. Like, where are you drawing the line with what I represent and what you represent?
Yeah, it's just
because I want to know, because maybe I am wrong, or maybe my viewpoint is like a little uneducated to like as much as theirs could be, and they could help me see something better. But some people are like, they just don't want to, if someone's getting attention or praise or accolades, and they just got to be.
It's the American way, man. It's the American way. Somebody pops up a little bit, you want to knock them down. That's just the American way. And, I mean, it probably doesn't help all the Texas stuff. And, I mean, Texans are proud of being Texans. And people that aren't from Texas don't get that, So there's probably a little bit of that as well. But you know what?
Are these Californians mad because I don't like In-N-Out?
We'll fix you. We'll get you some more In-N-Out. You're here, dude. You're here all the time. So I'm sure you've had plenty of In-N-Out.
You know what? I was talking with the FXR division guys last night, and I think that.
Is that who you stayed with last night?
Yeah. Justin from. So I think that.
I'm sure you can't divulge, but how's their build coming?
Dude, it's sick.
Is it going to be good?
Man, that Pan America Dyna that they're kind of building, bro. We were all sitting there last night just drinking beer, staring at it and talking, and it just looks like it should have been that way.
Really?
Like, it's really not. Not to throw shade on anything, but you remember when San Diego Customs did the adventure bike? Mm-hmm. It looked cool, but it had like an Africa Twin kind of vibe, which I think they were going for that.
Yeah, because I think they had just done the Africa bike right before that, right? The purple, African, I think.
And so there was like, it fit the mold on that, but it still kind of didn't have, like, it looked like a modified bike.
Yeah.
This one, in my opinion right now, kind of looks like it came that way.
Really?
So
I'm excited to see
rad,
that one.
dude.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that one.
And
sorry, I got you.
I think it's going to be a good time, but I think that what we were talking is like, we're all used to the food in the areas that we eat it, right? So it's like, technically, yes, it is the best because that's what we kind of are used to eating. That's what our palate is palated for, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that if we come here and we don't like the tacos I just had were fucking delicious, right? That's kind of like a universal thing. But when you start comparing this burrito to that burrito, this hamburger to this hamburger,
Right.
it gets kind of like in the weeds a little bit on that, you know?
Yeah, I joke about the
it's
Whataburger
just fun.
thing all the time, and yeah, I mean, I hadn't had a Whataburger in 20 years, and 2 years ago at Arizona Bike Week.
That's not real Whataburger in Arizona.
No. Maybe
I've
maybe
never
that's the
had-
problem. Maybe that's why it was good, because it wasn't Texas Whataburger trash. Sorry, you walked right into that one. It was good, man. Like this guy showed up with bags of these burgers, and I was like, it's fucking Whataburger. Like, this is gonna be trash. And I'm like, ooh, man, that's really good.
Yeah.
So, and I kept that to myself for a long time.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. It actually was pretty damn good.
Man, but where were we going with that before that?
I know you were saying that you were staying at FXR Division's place.
Oh, yeah. That was about the food thing.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we did the last podcast we did about a year ago. And before we get into all your rides that you just went on, like, how has the year been for you, like, post-podcast and, still – I know you kind of took a break from the meme stuff for a while, but you've done a lot.
Yeah.
You got back in the air quite a bit.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really take a break from the memes, but I went from like 5 a day to like 1 a day. So right now I'm just on a steady 1 a day, unless unless there's something that
some creative juices flowing.
then it's 2 a day, but it's really been 1 a day. And that was kind of a conscious decision. It was like, okay, I need to kind of balance stuff out, so that's, basically when in the fall, I think it was like October-ish, September, October timeframe is when I kind of got the bug to start flying again. Mm-hmm. And for you, it's funny. I was telling people this story a bunch. They're like, "Oh, you're back in the cockpit. Why are you flying again?" And it's funny. I reference back to, because I think the first time I actually said this out loud was on your show last year, was that that for me, riding motorcycles was a way to fill the void of the flying and the combat and the adrenaline rush and all that kind of stuff. And, for years and years, I was not only not interested in flying, but I had like a very negative feeling about it. Like I was burnt out. I had equated some personal, challenges around retirement time frame to flying. When it wasn't the flying, it was me and my utter lack of appreciation of authority. That's really what it boils down to, is I don't do well with authority. And, so I equated, me getting myself in trouble for stupid shit to the flying. So that, in my head, it was flying bad, ended up with this result. And then, it started to sink in like, okay, it wasn't the flying. And so I started to kind of get the bug again. And for years and years, man, I wouldn't even look up in the sky if a plane was going by. And there's an airport. The airport that I've been flying out of is just right over here. So it's like, we're right under flight path, and then Miramar, the Marine Corps Air Station, is just to the north a little bit. So all the helicopters come flying out of there, go flying out to Yuma, so they're flying pretty close by. But I wouldn't even look up in the sky for years. And then I had kind of an epiphany, like, okay, it wasn't the flying that was the issue. It was other, personal things. And I was like, you know what? I want to start flying again. And first time I got back up in the air, I'm like, God damn it. This is I miss this. And I came to the realization that I was like, I was filling a void riding filling a void by writing for something that I'm still physically capable of doing.
Yeah.
So it's like, for some guys, you got to fill a void. It's for something that you can't do. Like, like if you're, X Games gold medalist flipping motorcycles around, and now you're too old and you physically can't do that, then, you feel, I'm still physically capable of going out and flying. And so I started doing it. I'm like, fuck, this feels amazing. And,
Have you ever thought about doing it like commercially?
So the juices really started to flow, and my initial plan was to try to figure out some sort of helicopter flying job. But I knew that I had to get a decent amount of hours to be a little bit more current, marketable in a helicopter. But helicopters, even the little teeny tiny rinky dink ones, are expensive, like ridiculously expensive. So I'm like, okay, let me do, 20, 30 hours in some small planes, which is like a third of the price, just to get out, fly, get used to the radios and the airspace and navigating and all that kind of stuff. And then, once I feel very confident in all of that stuff and I can remember all the rules and regulations, then I'll jump in a helicopter and start building hours that way.
How much different is it to fly a helicopter versus a plane?
Once you're in the air, it's not all that different. But taking off and especially landing is very different. Airplane, you got to keep speed up, and you're kind of pushing the nose towards the ground and then leveling off and keeping speed up. In a helicopter, you're slowing down the whole time, and as you're coming in, getting closer to the ground, you pull the nose back, pull the nose up to slow down so that you can slow down, get into hover and land. Yeah. So that's the kind of the tricky part for guys that are used to flying helicopters going back to fixed wing, is trying to remember to not pull the nose up, because you pull the nose up in a plane, you get slow, you stall, you fall out of the sky and crash and die. So that was a lot of muscle memory stuff that I had to kind of get over. And, I mean, it didn't take that long. It was, a couple hours.
Well, I think that you're so dialed in and hyper focused when you're in that situation. Yeah. Like you said, it's a very big adrenaline rush. So I think it would be easier to retrain your brain. I think it's when it's not that you're not that connected to the feeling that you would be going through the motions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And we all Navy pilots learn in fixed wing airplane, so it was there. I had 100 hours. I mean, I hadn't flown fixed wing airplanes consistently since 1999. So it'd been a minute, but it came back really quick. Yeah. But yeah, so I was flying around a bunch and I was just loving it. And I'm like, okay, now it's time to jump into a helicopter and start building those hours. And there's only one place in San Diego that you can get lessons from, or, fly with instructors. And so it took a little while to get on their schedule. I get on the schedule and I go and I jump in, and it's like, I mean, when I say a small rinky dink little helicopter, like you can move it, you put it on some wheels, and then just with one hand you push down on the tail boom, and you can push this helicopter around. It's ridiculously small. And there's no hydraulic assist or anything. It's all mechanical linkages. So it just means that it's not super stable in a hover. But like within 30 minutes, I was right back, like solid hover, like, okay, got it. Like, here we are, piece of cake.
What are some helicopter jobs that you have that are like more options and stuff?
It's like the EMS,
like care flight.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. That's kind of the typical ones. You can fly, like power line, associated with power line stuff, or logging is very common. But then tours, like doing tours around the Grand Canyon, or that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, I feel good about this. This is fun. I fly that first day for like an hour and a half. I'm like, all right, this feels great. Super excited. Come back like 2 days later, fly for like another hour. Like, okay, this is great. feeling super comfortable. I came back the third day, and I think I'd gone through like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday flu again. And I get back in the helicopter and just, take off, no problem, go fly around. And we're at this working area thing on the airfield. And I remember I just sat, I landed the helicopter and I'm just sitting there for a second. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm bored. I was like, and it took me a second. I was like, man, I'm fucking bored. Like, I don't want to do this right now. I'm like, all right, I'm good. Let's go back. I went back, landed. I told the kid, the instructor, he's like half my age. I told the kid, I'm like, you know what? Let's just cancel the rest of the flights we had scheduled, and I'll reschedule when I'm ready. And I went and sat in my car there. And dude, I had to sit in my car for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes before I could drive away to try to figure out. I had to process, like, what the fuck does this mean? Why am I bored? Like, this is, why do I not want to do that? And the only thing I can come up with was that there's nothing that I could do in a civilian helicopter that would compare to what I did in a military helicopter. Mm-hmm. And, so it's kind of like, why, I don't want to say what's the point, but it's like, I know me, and I know that if I continue to do that and then I get bored, then I'm going to start pushing limits with stuff, and then I'm going to get myself in trouble again.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I can't, and I'm not saying that I don't want to do that. I may.
Thundermax is and has been my go-to for my fuel-injected Harleys since 2015. The T-Max module is designed to provide your fuel-injected Harley with proprietary auto-tune technology, allowing you the ability to add future performance upgrades to your motorcycle without having to go to a dyno for tuning. These tuners are worth their weight in gold. Head on over to thunder-max.com to get yourself dialed in with the T-Max tuner and drop the Fast Life offer code, which will save you 10% on your purchase, and give my guys a follow on the gram at thundermaxefi. Now let's get back to the show.
I just knew at that moment that I didn't want to keep spending $350 an hour. Actually, the instructor was like $400 an hour to fly that little piece of crap thing, So I needed to step back and kind of reevaluate. And so then I jumped in the fixed wing stuff a little bit more. I actually was, long way to your original question, commercial stuff. I started really considering doing the commercial stuff. I had some interviews and some tentative job offers, and I went to a convention in Palm Springs in like December or January, or I don't remember. And I'm just walking around and talking to some people, and I just came to the conclusion there. I was like, man, I don't really like these people. Like, the idea of, I'm like, I just can't see myself, clocking in every day to go, grind it out on some flight schedule for some, flights between San Diego and Utah 5 times a day. I'm like, that didn't do it for me either. So
do you think like, because you seem like you have like this addictiveness to, I wouldn't call it torture, because, motorcycling, traveling a lot it can be a little torturous on your body, a little bit, and challenging to the mind as well.
Yeah.
But you seem addicted to that. You seem addicted to pushing. Once I started riding, and the first time I went and did like a long ride, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like, okay. And then people would say like, oh, it's hard to ride 500 miles. Like, okay, well, I'm going to go ride 500 miles. And then I started seeing about, this 1K in a day stuff. I'm like, well, that's what I'm going to go do then. It wasn't hard. And then, and I rode from your house in Dallas all the way home, 1,380 miles or whatever it was, straight through. I'm like, yeah, that was kind of hard, but like, did it. Yeah. And
then for Sturgis, I rode straight through. We left here on a Tuesday at 5:30 in the morning and pulled into full throttle at 3:00 on Wednesday.
Damn.
Just rode straight through the night.
Which route did you take? Just 15 up?
Yeah, 15.
Up to Salt Lake and then started cutting over from there.
Salt Lake, yeah, and whatever that.
I think it's 80.
Yeah, some other roads and kind of then up through Wyoming or something. And then, yeah, I mean, it was 30. Yeah, so I left it. Yeah, it was 24. Yeah, it was like 30 hours or something like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
You know, I did that podcast with the Chris Hopper dude that did the 100K in 100 days. Mm-hmm. And while I'm very fascinated, I love talking to guys like that because he just, you know, it's a wealth of knowledge of being on the road. He's got so many hours within that in that saddle. But I just don't know how much I'm interested in the pushing to do that in the time frame. I'm almost like I'm really in love with the idea of being able to do these big trips like what you just did and what we try to do, but have more time to do it and actually experience more of the thing there.
Yeah. Same thing. So like the idea of getting on my bike to go do a quote unquote 1K in a day, just to go, you know, not interested at all, you know, but if there's a place that I want to go and, you know, it's
happens to be 1,000 miles.
Happens to be 1,000 miles or 980 miles or whatever it is, you know, like whatever, then I'll go.
Yeah.
You know, when I just blasted up to Oregon, I looked at the map and it was, you know, 1,010 miles, I think, up there. And then 1,050, 1,060 on the way back because the event was a little bit further north. I was like, oh yeah, let's do it. You know, like that makes sense. But to just like, okay, I want to, you know, I'm going to show people that I can ride 1,000 miles in a day. So I'm going to go ride to, you know, wherever from here. I'm like, I'm not interested. Like,
same, like I've said it many times. I did the original like Iron Butt thing where you do all the receipts, all the shit, and you get a little patch and everything. And I just never sent the paperwork in.
Yeah.
And not because I want to downplay the whole concept of it. I think it's a really rad thing to do, and if you achieved it, then cool.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think to piggyback on what you just said, it's the necessity of doing it.
That's
right?
It.
To me, I look at it like, well, shit. You know, I'm gonna go on the road for 10 days. If I can hammer down and just get to that 1,000-mile destination,
right,
that can open up more free time on the other end.
Exactly.
Instead of like spending 2 days in a part of the country that I'm not interested in spending that much time.
Exactly. And hotels or heaven forbid a fucking campground or, you know, like just go. Like I don't want to stay in anymore because I never sleep well in hotels. Never sleep well in hotels. So it's just like, just go. Just fucking push through and be done with it.
When I drove out here in what was it, March, and I left Rusty Butcher's, did a podcast with him in the morning, left his place at like 12:30, made it to Cruzy's by like 5.
Yeah.
Did the podcast with Cruzy, wrapped everything up, you know, hanging out with them. Or actually, I made it to Cruzy around 6 or 7. Finished the podcast about 10:30, and then because we lost an hour at that time because they weren't on the Cali town schedule. Did the podcast, and then they were like, "Hey, man, you could crash here, whatever." I was like, "Man, I want to try to get to like Tucson at least tonight."
Yeah,
just to start cutting into that 1,000 because it's 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And I drove down to Benson, and it was like 2:30 in the morning when I got there, and I just said, "You know what? I've slept in that Love's parking lot 3 times before." Pulled over.
That's it.
Just laid the seat back, and it's chilly out at night, so I cracked the sunroof, and it got me about 4.5 hours of sleep.
Did you? Yeah.
And then just made the rest of the day. Yeah.
That's perfect.
I've done that so many times in the car.
Really?
Yeah, it's just easier. It's like if I'm trying to get somewhere, if I'm whatever, but obviously on a bike, I've done that in like trucker lounges. Mm-hmm. Like certain like Flying J's have like a little lounge area.
Okay. I
go in there and crash for a couple hours.
Okay.
They don't ever say shit.
Yeah. I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the bigger ones like Loves and stuff. Mm-hmm. They don't really have that, but I think Flying J, there's one more I think that has like an actual like they have recliners in there.
Now that you're saying that I remember seeing some. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I hadn't thought of that. That's probably not a bad idea. I know Kevin, his Instagram is ILM Dinah. He was, I think he still has the record coast to coast. He left Jacksonville, Florida, and rode here to San Diego in like 40 hours or so. I don't remember the exact number, but he had the record for it. But I remember he was posting like just passed out in a Love's parking lot, for a little while. Like he just had to stop for a little bit, laid down next to his bike for a little bit and crashed out. I don't know if I probably could if I was that tired.
Dude, it was crazy. Last year, we were meeting all the guys we were meeting in Amarillo, and I went and stayed the night at my daughter's house the night before to kind of cut the day in half because she lives, like kind of in between Dallas and Amarillo. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple little cool little ran down gas stations over there on like Route 66 and shit.
Yeah, Amarillo is kind of sketchy.
It is, but I actually just I was there 2 nights ago, and they got a cool little area there, like Route 66, like cool bars. Mm-hmm. It's got a vibe. I'm really interested in it now.
Yeah.
But I met this dude that was just kind of mobbing through on a Dyna. And so I was on my bagger. We started chopping it up. And he's like, yeah, I'm on my way to Chicago right now and just left SoCal. And, man, I wish I knew this gas station was here. I just slept in one just like it last night down the street. And I'm like, so you just, like, pull over in these old abandoned gas stations, just sleep in it? Like, bro, like, I'm fucking sketched out now.
Yeah.
Just being in this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't think I could... I don't think I could just pull over and sleep on the ground in a gas station. Like, unless I would be okay with the gas station, like a normal working one. But this is a ran down, everything's busted out. Oh.
This is like, when they graffiti them all up and shit.
Yeah. No. Fuck no.
Yeah.
Fucking tweaker. No.
Yeah.
No way. No, that's like fucking Hills Have Eyes kind of shit. Things come out of it. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, as soon as the sun goes down, like those people start coming in from the land.
Yeah, or they like live in the attic of that fucking guy. No. Mm-mm. No, I can't do that. I just keep going.
I rode a lot through on this trip. I rode a lot through real rural parts of New Mexico to kind of just get off the main highway. Yeah. And every once in a while, the passing thought would go through my head. It's like, is this safe?
Right? Probably not.
I don't feel, I'm not scared. I don't feel like I'm in danger or anything. But I just think like, there's no way I would want my daughter to do this.
Yeah.
And I think about a lot of women that do ride solo across country. Mm-hmm. And I just think about how complicated it must be to have to think about all that type of stuff.
That extra level of safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the thought crosses my mind, occasionally if I'm, riding through the night or something like that. Like, is this the best idea? No, probably not. Like, it's middle of the night in the middle of nowhere, critters can come run across the road, take you out by yourself. Nobody would know, kind of stuff, but like, whatever. So gotta go. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't care. I gotta go. Sometimes you just gotta go.
So, you guys just got off a big trip.
Yeah,
you didn't go on the one before.
I did not.
So what, like, was there just something holding you back on that first trip, or just didn't line up with your schedules?
No. No, I didn't. I started riding with all of them shortly after that, their Roll 1.0. Kind of. What was the first?
So it's Raji,
Goo, Seth Enslow, Matt, and Greg Smith. Okay. That was the crew. Dude, just fucking amazing. It was an amazing trip. Like, I don't even know where to start or how to, I mean, it was 24 days. 9,200 for me, 9,210 miles, 30. I did 34 states. Some of those guys did some detours to get across the state line to
add a couple more.
To add it. And so Roji, Matt, Greg, I think those 3 now have done all 48 states, all of them.
Nice.
But yeah, I still, without hitting some of those extra random detours, still it's 34 states. Like I rode through fucking 34 states.
So how many do you have left as far as like?
So I would still need like all the Midwest. So like, I don't even know what all those states are. Iowa, Nebraska. What else is over there?
Wisconsin, Minnesota.
No, did Wisconsin, Minnesota. We did all that. So it's the
North Dakota.
North Dakota was one. They blasted up out of Sturgis to hit that and back down. So like Missouri.
You didn't hit Missouri?
No. So whatever all those states are, right in there.
You did Illinois.
Yeah, we did Illinois. And then we didn't do. So we hit
West Virginia.
Yeah, didn't hit West Virginia.
That's the one.
But so it turns out I had no idea. And Roji figured this out when we pulled into a buddy's house in Ohio, that apparently there's like, he described it as like West Virginia has this dong that sticks up, like comes up out of nowhere all the way up in towards Ohio. Mm-hmm. So it's, like I never would have thought that you're in Ohio, you can just blast. It was like 40 miles from where we were staying to blast down, go across the border. So they did that one. And then I would still need, Alabama. No, we did Alabama, Florida. We hit Georgia a little bit. So we did not hit South Carolina. We touched North Carolina. Yeah. I got to be missing one other one. Oh, and we didn't do Washington State. So it was Washington State, Iowa, Missouri, Nebraska, Florida, and South Carolina.
Yeah.
Those were the ones that we didn't hit. So every other state we hit. Yeah. It was insane. We're like riding across, and, to me, it wasn't a huge deal. I'm thinking like, okay, we're in, Arizona, no big deal. That feels like the backyard. New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and then we're in Tennessee. I'm like, okay, Tennessee, that's kind of cool. And, but dude, when we pulled into, when we rode into Washington, D.C., mm-hmm. I'm looking around. I'm like, on motorcycles from SoCal, we're in fucking Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Like, this is rad. And then we pull into New York City.
Yeah.
And we're, like, Roji had spent weeks on Google Earth finding a place to park to get the Statue of Liberty in the background. Mm-hmm. And he actually found it. And we rolled into New York City at like 8:30 on a Sunday morning, so there's no traffic. Went right to the spot. It worked perfect, but we're standing there and we're all looking around at each other like, we're in fucking New York City. Like, that's the fucking Statue of Liberty right there. Yeah. Just mind boggling. And then we're in Maine. We're at this, lobster seafood restaurant on some harbor in Maine. Same thing. We park. We're waiting to get a table, and we're just kind of looking around like, God damn it, we're in fucking Maine.
Yeah.
Like, that's as far, that's as far away from, especially me in San Diego. Like, that's as far away diagonally as you can get.
Yeah.
And then just they had been to the Harley Museum before. I hadn't. So for me, pulling up to the Harley Museum was like, okay, if you're going to ride your motorcycle cross country and stuff, like, you gotta, you gotta go. It's like, you gotta go to Mecca. You gotta do it. That's Mecca. So that was pretty amazing. And then once we started kind of pushing back west from there, like I remember riding through Minnesota, and I'm like, we're in fucking, we're in Wisconsin. We're in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, we're riding coming over some bridges or something into Chicago. Look up and like, dude, that's the fucking Chicago skyline. Like,
yeah, it's gnarly too.
Chicago, like, Detroit. So yeah, it was just, I felt, felt blessed to be able to see all these places and do all these things. And it was just, it was just mind boggling.
What was the vibe like with the group as far as like every night's demeanor? Was it kind of like...
It was good, man. Like there was that first week, first few days were pretty nice. Weather cooperated. Roji's bike had a hiccup the very first day. Like we weren't even to Kingman yet and had an issue, but we got that dealt with. It was turned out to be a pretty easy fix. Then after that, once we got into Texas, basically once we got into Texas, way at the top there, so we went across the 40.
Yeah. Panhandle.
The fucking rain started, dude, and it just didn't stop. We got fucking crushed, and like we were riding through Oklahoma City, and it was just one of those rains where like it doesn't part while you're riding. It's just you can't see the road. Nobody can see where can't see where you're going, and we had to go on. There was like some freeway interchange, something. We're going up over this bridge thing, and the bike started to kind of slide out a little bit. You must have
Commander 3s on there.
I'm like, probably, and I'm like, God, like fucking this sucks. And then, so, and then there was one day, like it rained to the hotel, rained all night. So our shit was still kind of wet. Got up, had to put kind of wet stuff on to then get right back in the rain the next morning again. So those couple of days we were pretty spent, kind of like.
Y'all did that trip at a part of the year where it's really still cold up there.
Yeah, you know what? It didn't. I didn't ever feel like I was freezing. Like it was chilly, so we were layered up.
Because you did this at the beginning of May, right?
Yeah, it was May. We left May 12th, I think.
And you were in Montana, and I just think of that as like, fuck, you know.
Montana was good. Like it wasn't. Yeah, it was colder. Like up in, not surprising, up in Maine, Niagara Falls.
That's
all that stuff, right? Yeah. I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah,
I was like,
there's some good people up there, and Buffalo, same thing. Good people in Buffalo. They're just old towns, man.
Yeah,
they're just old, and the tourism is just not enough to keep things going.
Yeah. But so those rainy days, we were all pretty tired and kind of done by the end of the day. But once the rain stopped for us, basically the morning we got up to go do Tail of the Dragon is when it stopped raining. So Tail of the Dragon was still kind of sort of wet, not too bad.
What did you think of that compared to what you have here?
I've said this. I think I said it on the LFG Guys podcast a couple of weeks ago. Like, no offense to everybody out there, like I can imagine that's probably, if you live in Florida and everything's straight, like that's the best you got,
Yeah.
But it was 12 miles long, and like the road we just went up for you to take those pictures, was like fucking rad, Exactly. So I it was a great road. It was fun to have done it. Got the picture. Would I go way out of my way to do it again? No. But if it's along the way, absolutely.
I've said this a lot. There's another pass like south of that called Tellico Plains.
Really?
And it's faster.
Really?
So you get those bigger sweepers, you get more elevation.
Okay.
Because that's what I like. I like the big sweepers.
Big sweepers.
Because you can kind of like lean into it.
Get on it, yeah.
And
not those 15 mile an hour ones that are like feeling kind of like, okay, is the tire going to hold? Am I sketched out here right now?
Yeah, and if you think about it, like I'm not a professional racer, right? So those big sweepers, like you have, there's a room for error and adjustments. Like, okay, I'm I'm leaning in too much. Let me kind of come out a little bit. You know? You can kind of fuck around a little bit.
Yeah.
You know. So,
but those tight ones, yeah, you kind of. Yeah, especially when the bike's like all loaded down with shit, and you're like. Yeah,
that's what I was telling you, man. Like when I got here to your house and I unloaded the bike, that's the first rip that I've been able to do without shit in the bike.
Yeah.
And oh man, it felt so good.
Yeah, I bet. Well, we're gonna get on it tomorrow. we're gonna stretch those legs out tomorrow for sure.
I gotta get gas as soon as we leave here.
So do I. I actually probably should have done it there, but I was just kind of in a hurry to get back. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm on like low range. Hopefully, I can make it right down the street.
We're on top of a hill.
Yeah,
dude. You can
we'll
just coast down.
We'll coast down.
So, I remember either reading some of the posts that you guys were making, or I don't know where I got this, but you guys had a lot of big mile days. When I say not big mile, like 1,000-mile days, but back to back, 300, 400, 500, 600-mile days.
Yeah, I think I think the average was probably right around 400 miles. But there were some days. So when we left, the first week was basically like 600 miles for the first three or 4 days or something like that. Like it was maybe 3 days. Because Roji planned everything out, with certain areas we were going to stop. And so we went to the Barber Motorsports Museum. In Alabama, yeah. Fucking amazing place. Like,
I've heard
it's unreal. But, so he planned. So for those days where we were stopping either to meet up with people. So like we went to the Barber Museum. We went to Dream Rides in Tennessee. A few other places, those would be shorter days because we're going to spend some more time at those museums. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, it was funny. We just kind of laughed at each other. I think it was the last day, the run into Solvang Buellton was like 283 miles or something like that. And we just kind of looked at each other, or maybe it was like 300 miles or right around there. Yeah. And we just kind of looked at each other like, and I made some comment like, dude, I don't even get out of bed for less than 400, and at that, because at that point, we were, 9,000 miles into it. If it was only, because we were probably like 8,500 miles into it at that point. I mean, we just got so used to, you just get up and go, and it was, we felt there were lots of days where we'd pull in to the hotel and it'd only be like 3:00. And especially when we were way up north, I remember we pulled into Three Forks, Montana, and me and Jerry, me and Goo got there to the hotel at like 3. The other guys wanted to go up and do the Beartooth Pass. I'd done Beartooth Pass probably like 3 times, and it had been raining earlier that day. I was kind of tired, and I just wasn't feeling it. And so Jerry and I just went straight to the hotel. We got there at 3:00, and dude, the sun didn't go down till fucking 10:00 that night. And so I'm just sitting around all day like, fuck, I could be like, I could be 400 miles further down the road. And there was lots of days like that where we would kind of get in, I mean, it was very gentlemanly, we'd get in somewhere.
You get the full range of a hotel.
Yeah. And the hotels were never all that great. That was, we definitely went on the
savings,
on the inexpensive end of the hotels. Danny G was jumping in and commenting early on because like I posted something, the first hotel, I think the first place we stayed was in Albuquerque, in New Mexico, or not Albuquerque, Gallup, New Mexico, not a tourist destination by any means, but we go to check in and I knew it was going to be an issue when the lady at the desk hands you a roll of toilet paper. Like, here's your toilet paper, okay, there's your room. And I go in there and there's like blood drops up the steps. And like, that was one of those rooms where I was tired and, I needed to get under the covers, but I didn't want to look under the covers. It's funny because you mentioned that earlier, like you didn't even want to get under. I was like, I got to get under the cover. But, normally, like look, shake things out. Like, I don't want to know what's in there. I don't care. I'm just like, I'm getting in there and I'm going to sleep. I don't want to know. I don't want to see anything. And got up the next morning and, like I'll pull the covers out. I don't like them tucked in. And so when I got up and was getting ready and packing up the next morning, I had kind of pulled covers off of the mattress and the box spring. And me and Seth looked down and there's like this huge blood stain down the side of the mattress and the box springs. Like what the fuck?
In that location, it has to be some sex involved.
Yeah, it was. So we started, kind of making posts about that and razzing Roji about it because Roji did all the planning, led the entire way, like amazing. Yeah, it was so nice to travel for 24 days, 9,000 miles and not have to even, figure out where the next gas stop was going to be.
Was there any places that you went through that you kind of would have wanted to spend more time? They kind of stand out over because 24 days, I'm sure there's some, but
not really. To be honest with you, at first when we were just kind of blasting through stuff, I was like, it'd be kind of nice to slow down a little bit. But then it's like, well, for what? Like, I saw it. We're good. Just keep going. I think, in my head, I wanted to get where we were going. We would haul ass all week, and then every weekend we would stay somewhere for a rally. So the whole reason to go in the first place was to go to the Poconos for the Lost Hills Rally, Poconos, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So we pulled into there on, I think it was Friday, and then we left, I think it was Monday morning, Okay. So we were there just hanging out.
So you had a couple layovers and stuff.
And then the next weekend, we pulled into Deadwood on Friday night and left Sunday morning, I think. And then the following weekend was Live Fast, so we pulled into Buellton Solvang Friday afternoon and left Sunday morning, so the weekends were, it's kind of like we were working during the week and then we'd get to rally and kind of hang out. So it was good. That's
a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
Never thought about that. But I mean, you'd also, the planet's got to align for that to happen.
It did. Yeah. And I think it was, so the Poconos was planned, Live Fast was planned. That rally in Deadwood just was a coincidence. Like Reggie wanted to go through there and then had already planned to go through there and saw that there was this, off-season rally going on. I'm like, oh, perfect. Yeah. So it was 3 weeks, 3 weekends, 3 rallies, from Pennsylvania, Sturgis, California. Yeah, it was rad. And then the following weekend, I decided just to go by myself up to Oregon to do another week rally. So it was 4 weekends, 4 rallies from Pennsylvania, Deadwood, Live Fast, and then Oregon, the Pac West.
So how was it? I know
the Pac West one.
Yeah, Brad put a lot of work into that.
Dude, it was fucking rad. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was bigger. It was bigger than Live Fast.
For real,
it was. Dude, there were 100 bikes in the show area, and it wasn't like just a bunch of randos. Like they were nice bikes. The parking area was hundreds of bikes.
When I went up there and did the podcast with Brad and Levitas Moto, what I noticed in Brad's shop was every bagger in there was dialed, right? And I was like, oh shit, and he's in a small town in between some of the big towns, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, like these are some top-notch bikes, all dialed, right?
Yeah.
And then talking with Michael from Levitas, I was like, well, I wonder if I think that there's been a scene brewing up there, and they needed somewhere to go.
That's it. You're on it right there. And when I was standing around looking, and I'm like trying to figure out because I don't thinking to myself, I'm like, man, this is bigger than Live Fast. How does that happen? Like this is a first year event. How does that happen? And then I realized the weather just got good. There's nothing else going on. You know, people have been cooped up all winter, not able to ride. You know, in SoCal, other places, you know, you can still go ride, especially in SoCal. Like, there's fucking 15 events this weekend. You know, like lots of options. There's nothing else going on. And so that was just the place to go, the place to be. And I mean, the timing was perfect. The weather was perfect. Like, you got to go.
Yeah. Because they have the One Moto show up there, but I think that's more, that's an indoor show. That's a different experience. I think that what he created with the Pac West, I think is what they call it.
It was free. Yeah. He didn't charge.
People can jump on their bike on the weekend and ride up and see what it's all about. And it just makes the barrier of entry so much more accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, the investment, if you will. And like I said, those guys, you know, I have a couple really close friends that are up in like on the border of Washington there that, you know, they're having to look at all these events going all over the country and they're like, God damn, like, I want to be a part of this, but everything's 1,500 miles away. Yeah.
And like through, especially earlier in the year, it's like through not great weather to get there, you know?
I just rode from Phoenix to here today, and I've always talked shit. That's what I do best, but I get it. Because on the other side of those mountains is misery of riding. I mean, with over 20 years in business, Custom Dynamics has built the largest product selection in the motorcycle lighting game. Superior lighting products supported by top quality customer service, all backed by lifetime warranties. I'm currently running Custom Dynamics all around on my Lowrider ST. Head on over to customdynamics.com where they have solutions for both early and late model motorcycles, and give them a follow on the gram at Custom Dynamics. When you're from Dallas and you know riding through the desert is romantic. It's like fuck. Yeah. It's better than the plains, right? Yeah. But when it's 105 and it's like a dry heat that burns, it just I get it. Why it was 105 and then over here was 70. Yeah. 40-mile difference. Yeah. And
as soon as you get up that grade and go over those mountains, it's
so I get it, man.
It's the promised land, man.
Yeah.
It's the promised land.
But, I mean, would you attest that, like, as much as you have here, that, you know, traveling and just seeing everything else is, like, there's got to be something within that keeps you jumping on the bike and leaving this area.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say that I've seen all of this, like, you know, and part of that, it's like, okay, I'm not going to, now that I know I can ride, you know, 1,500 miles straight through, you know, to just go hang out at the corner bar just doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I'm going to, you know, I want to go somewhere. I'm going to go, you know, I'm going to go 1,000 miles away and then another 1,000 miles away. You know, like today, you know, it's like, I want to get some tacos. There's a taco shop right down the street, but okay, let's go to Mexico. Yeah. Let's go to Mexico for tacos. You know, like it's just, you know, I think just like to go places.
The more and more that I'm trying to push into like different content stuff, it's so much easier to make good content here because you have so many different settings. Yeah. You know, you got 5 studios basically. Yeah. To do 5 different types of things. You could do, you know, cruising down the beach, cruising through the mountains. Exactly. You know, there's just a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was asking when we're up taking those pictures. I'm like, so what do you want to do tomorrow? You want to go ride the mountains or you want to do the coast? And I was like, well, they're so close. We can do the mountains and the coast. You know, it's all right here. Yeah. You know, so it's pretty spoiled. And kind of that goes back to that when you're asking me what I thought about the Tail of the Dragon. You know, it's just like there's so much amazing stuff literally right in my backyard, you know, that it's very spoiled.
What's also, you know, uniquely different down here in the San Diego area versus like LA is how much more mountains there are over here. Yeah. Because in LA, it's kind of like, you know, range and valleys, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of like valley area, a lot of flat land within, you know, within the confined or the surrounded by mountains versus here. It feels like everything is mountains. It's just all built into the mountains.
It's all hills. Yeah. It's all hilly and you know, the distance from the coast to the, you know, San Diego mountains is, you know, it's 30 miles or something, you know, and then you're up in the mountains. Like you get up to, I think, the top Mount Laguna. I want to say it's like at 6,000 feet or something like that, 6,000 feet, you know? So, I mean, it shoots up pretty quick. So, yeah, we're incredibly spoiled, incredibly spoiled. And I know that. And you know, that was kind of my running joke over the wintertime because we were getting douched here. Like it rained more this last year than I can remember. And I've lived in San Diego, you know, basically my whole life. And I mean, it was just raining and raining, and I was getting so irritated. I was getting depressed because I couldn't ride, I couldn't fly. You know, like all I could do was get up and go to the gym and, you know, walk into the gym in the rain and walk out of the gym in the rain. And I'm like, fucking SoCal sucks.
Yeah.
And so I started posting every day, like, fucking San Diego sucks. You know, now today, you know, my story's full of sunshine and riding to Mexico for tacos, and you and I up on Sunrise Highway taking sunset pictures and going to the taco shop. Now, like, no, San Diego's fucking rad now. It's rad, and you need to be here.
Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to. I hope that me and the dudes do plan to do the Built Well or the El Diablo run, because we could come here first and spend like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, and then meet up at the Built
I'm
Well.
not going to meet them. We'll catch them on the way down.
Okay,
yeah, I don't like to backtrack.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, just hang out here and you know, do all these rides, do all these little cool little spots, and you know, then dip down into Mexico. And even if we don't do the big loop like I had mentioned, we can still do the Baja and then come straight back up and then over.
Yeah, that's
you know
that's still legit. Yeah,
we're just worried about mainland Mexico, really.
Yeah. I have not ventured. Like I travel to Mexico on a plane, and you know, get farther down there to areas that I feel, you know, Oaxaca and San Miguel de Allende are places that I've been to a bunch. Feel super safe, super comfortable doing that. But like riding, you know, I think my comfort zone is probably down to Ensenada, and then obviously the EDR, you know, wherever that goes, that's normal. Like people are doing it all the time. San Felipe or something.
San Felipe,
yeah. You know, and I just haven't gone that way. I just need to go with somebody that's been to, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I want to venture.
Yeah, having one good shaman on that trip is good.
Yeah, just need one guy like, yeah, we've been here, this is where we go, this is where we stop, this is, you know, this is how it's done, you know, this is the cool taco spot, this is the gas spot, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's you know, and you do it once with somebody else, like, okay, I got it.
That knowledge gets passed on.
Yeah. So like my some of the guys that I ride down to Mexico with while I was on the long trip, 2 of them really had a craving for Mexico and tacos, and so 2 of them just blasted, and they went all the way down to Ensenada and back up, and you know, made it just fine. And I was like, I was so proud of you guys, like you did it without me. Kind of sad, like, oh, you don't really need me anymore, but you know, once you kind of do it with people that know what they're doing a couple of times, and you feel super comfortable.
Yeah. Fuck, I want to go, when we do this, I want to go down to the fucking bottom of it.
You want to go all the way down to like, isn't Cabo at the bottom of
Cabo San Lucas?
Yeah.
I wonder how far that is from here.
That's a haul. Yeah, put that in the old map and see.
Your location. That is, damn, it's 1,036 miles from your door.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not as smooth as Interstate 5 up to Oregon.
Yeah.
But, you know.
That'd be rad, you know.
Yeah.
Because we can be here.
Let me know. I want to go.
I feel like we could be here in 2 days easily with our group, you know, like.
Here in 2 days? Absolutely. Yeah. It's 13 from your house to here. It was 1380.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's 15. No, I want to say it's only like 30 miles from my house to Rosarito, Mexico. But I mean, obviously it's so, I don't know which way we would go, but anyway, yeah, it's not that far, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that far.
And we could come in and like do Julian, you know, Glamis, all that stuff on the way in, knock some of that out, and then just stay south of Julian on all this other stuff. And, you know, have like 2 days here, spend a day and a half, 2 days maybe here, just kind of, checking it all out, then do the EDR.
Yeah.
Then once after the San Felipe, they just keep going south, and then
Yeah, an EDR would be something like I would still want to go with somebody that's been just, but EDR is something you can just go.
yeah,
Because everybody's going. Like it's not, it wouldn't be that hard to figure it out.
yeah, strength in numbers kind of vibe.
Yeah, exactly. like you're good. You're gonna. There's thousands of bikes blasted down there. We'll be okay.
Yeah, and usually when we do our trips, we try to do 14 days.
Yeah.
It just works out well with all their vacations and stuff like that. And I feel like we could easily get here, go down there, have a couple days down there, like just chilling, make the travel back, and then literally, 2 or 3 days home and like well within the time frame.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding. I think I know the guys are. I know that I am too. I don't mind having the first day or two to make the push, right?
Yeah.
But I really
you guys kind of have to get away, to get somewhere. Like
the 1,000-mile radius.
You got to get 1,000 miles away before anything gets super interesting.
So I like the concept of that. But now when we plan our trips, like I get more jazzed on like when I see those 150-mile days. Not because of this mainly, is because when I see places I want to stop and shoot pictures or do this or do that, that shit adds time.
It does.
You know what I mean? Hey, guys, we need to go over to that spot real quick and do some YouTube shit real quick.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, that's a 30-minute stop on top of your normal gas stops.
Right.
So I was trying to explain to the guys, and they get it. They're very supportive of everything. I was like, look, I want to capture our trips and show the world how we are on our trips.
Absolutely.
But you guys also know that we have to have context. It just can't be us getting drunk every night and acting. We got to show what we do every day to earn those beers at night.
Right.
And so, we're going to have to stop. We're going to have to be more, capture these things. And I feel like the videos that I'm trying to produce right now is all learning. Like I understand how growth works now. Like that's like the one thing that finally clicked in my head as I got older. I was like, oh, I get it. I'm not going to be the best at this when I start.
Yeah.
But if I don't start and I don't start doing it, I will never get to that level, right? So now I'm just trusting the process that I've done many times in my life.
And for different things,
from painting or podcasting
you're
or whatever.
You're going to get good at it. Yeah.
Exactly. So, maybe it's a little arrogance in there. Like, I know at some point I'll be good at this.
It's not rocket science.
Exactly. It's like A plus B equals
F, whatever.
Yeah. So, I'm just trying to make myself continue to do it because, and that's kind of why, like, I want to change up my entire, not my entire existence within my brand and my place in the motorcycle scene, but I need more time, man. I've got 5 videos that need to get edited and put out since the camp out that I just haven't had time to do.
Yeah.
And those videos don't pay me anything right now.
Yeah.
So it's all like an investment, and it's so much more time. Like building the bike, customizing the bike, I filmed all of it.
Yeah.
But the last 2 days when it really came together, I couldn't film it. I had to get it done.
You just had to get it done.
Because it was taking so much more time to, okay, what I'm going to say about this.
Yeah. It's like, I got to go. I just got to get it done.
I had to get
it done. Got to go.
So there's a lot of learning shit. Fortunately, it could be a good or bad thing. Like, as long as I'm not, like, no sponsors reach out and want to pay me for it yet, there's a caveat to that. That makes me work.
Yeah.
Because I know that now someone's paying me to do this now. I have to produce it.
You have to do it, yeah.
Versus, like, if I'm just doing it on my own accord, then I can, be lazier.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So
I want the push, but at the same time, like, I still want to learn more, and I want to give myself time to kind of grow it all.
Yeah.
But,
no, I get that. Yeah.
So
for me, the video stuff, I just don't have I wish I knew how, and again, like you said, it's not rocket science, but to spend the time to like edit it all together. And like, I just, so I capture stuff on GoPro and I make little reels about it and stories. And for me, that's good enough.
I think that the real thing
it does it for me
is a good introduction into the concept of video editing, right? I've said this to a lot of people. I feel like the challenge in making a video is trying to show the world what it actually is.
Yeah.
Without you having to fake it till you make it, or do fake stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to set the camera up where we pulled into to go shoot the bike a while ago and then pull back out and then come back in like we just rolled into the spot.
Right.
Even though on the back end, like on producing, it's a better produced
It would
video.
look great, yeah.
But like,
it's when you need to hire your own Josh.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do a podcast with Josh on this trip, just me and him. So
are you?
I'm excited for that because we've talked a lot. I mean, me and him get in the same room. We just start nerding out on camera shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and his stuff, the stuff that he's been doing recently,
they have the best.
Wow.
100%. I think the most produced, high quality content for motorcycles on YouTube.
It's amazing. Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. And the
Two-lane light.
the still, the film pictures that Josh has been doing lately. Like, god damn, dude, like that's fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like, and I just
So I have a few film cameras too, and I just didn't have space on the bike to bring it. And I thought about, because my wife's flying out here later this week, or she's flying out Monday, and I was like, well, fuck, maybe I'll have her throw those cameras in there. But my luck showed you can't run film through like a X-rays.
Oh yeah,
it'll screw it all up. So
yeah, that's true.
I was like, I'm just gonna leave it
Or
alone.
you can just have her bring the camera. You buy the film.
Yeah.
Here, shoot everything.
Yeah.
She takes the cameras back, and you carry the film with you.
If I can on this trip just continue to capture it start to finish, I'll figure out how to put some kind of video together to make it like something.
Yeah.
I have a lot of.
It's gonna look good.
I have a lot of footage. I think it's perspectives that I think will make it interesting, but ultimately I find riding footage to be boring.
Yeah.
And it's only because, like you said, I've ridden all over the country. That local bar thing is just not doing it for me anymore. Right.
Yeah.
So when you ride a lot, you see a lot of this stuff. Sometimes the GoPro angles, the helmet cam angles.
It's all the same stuff.
It's the same stuff.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. It works for me. It's fun. Like that's my.
I think that it plays good context. Like so, it's like the B-roll between what you're actually doing.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think separates video creators is who they are once they stop is what you're kind of. The riding footage is the B-roll to the A-roll of them stopping and talking about stuff or doing this or whatever.
Yeah. And I found it was funny. I think I started it about 5 days into it. I started each morning with I'd have my phone on my mount on the handlebars, and then I just did a story where I'm like, day 6. This is where I'm at, kind of goofing around with stuff. And people just love that. Like at each of the rallies that we went to, people would come up to me and like, dude, whatever, day 7 when you did that, like, what was that like? So people were like, totally into it. I was like, man, that's kind of cool. And then I had fun with it. Then it was kind of, I was goofing around with it. It was kind of fun. I'm
sure you were getting this, like the people that feel like they're living vicariously through you.
Dude, yeah, it was, like I've had it locally a lot. People will come up to me and say hi and introduce themselves and stuff. I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's like, okay, I'm from SoCal, no big deal. But when people came up to me in Tennessee or in, at the Lost Hills Rally in Pennsylvania, and were like, telling me stories asking me about my dog, and like, is your dog sad that you're gone, and about my son and all. It's like they've really, like you said, kind of living vicariously through me. And it was, at first it was kind of surprising, but then it's an honor. I feel it's like, hey man, if I can, I know that I am incredibly blessed to be able to pick up and go ride, what ended up being over 4 weeks, 11,500 miles from, coast to coast to coast. Most people can't do that.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm lucky. I know I'm blessed to be able to do that. If it's helping people be motivated, like people would send me messages all the time, like, dude, I'm on my lunch break, watching you guys rip through the rain, like be safe. But, thanks for sharing that kind of stuff. I'm like, hey, that's great. I feel, it's fun. I don't know how. Yeah, I mean, maybe my ego likes it. I don't know, but it's to be able to go do what I'm going to do anyway, and be able to share it with other people and have it, have kind of an impact or inspire them to do something different. That's cool. This whole riding super long distances, I was inspired by the 2-Lane Life guys. Mm-hmm. I've started following them a few years ago, and I remember watching them do one of their Arizona loops, and then up through like Kayenta and Monument Valley and that kind of stuff. And that was the first, I watched that stuff, and I went online and I looked at, where they went and where they stayed. And then that was my first long solo ride. I just packed up. It was in October, 3 years ago now, I think. And just went. Like I went and stayed in Williams, Arizona, the same hotel that they stay at, and then went up through Flagstaff and Monument Valley, Kayenta, and just followed, a lot of the same roads that they've done. And like, okay, I did it. It was good. So they were the ones that really inspired me to start doing it in the first place. So, if I can inspire other
pay it
people
forward,
to go do the same thing, it's rad. Like it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, that's 100% it, man. Like it's when you, I've always said this, like the social media peeled back certain parts of the country for me that I didn't know where they were, they existed, things like that. Or I'd seen a picture, never knew it was in America.
Yeah.
Early days of Instagram, when they started allowing you to geotag things, that's how I found where Monument Valley was.
Yeah.
And I always joke around, but back in the day, man, like, you're a little older than me, but not by much. How old are you?
I'm 51.
All right, so you got 11 years on me.
Yeah.
When we were younger, the only way we found out about geographic
location.
Thank you. Geographic locations was through like what was that old magazine?
Magazines, National Geographic. Yeah. Magazines, that was it. Yeah, it was like
and then Discovery Channel and those kind of things came around right around when the internet did.
Right.
And then the internet just blew it all wide open, right?
Yeah.
And it's like early days. It's like, man, which it's funny because you just did the trip to Italy, right? Mm-hmm. And how many of these places, these trendy areas, were like overran with tourists to get the picture?
Yeah. Oh,
right?
There was a lot. Yeah.
The what do they
Trevi
call it?
Fountain was
Instagram versus reality.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And there's a lot of places like that in America too, and it's kind of ruined those spots for me, and it's kind of made like the lesser known, even lesser wow factor places more interesting.
Yeah.
Because of when you're traveling on a motorcycle to the middle, to a part of like a desolate part of the country,
mm-hmm.
and then you show up to see this thing that's out here in the middle of nowhere, and there's literally 300 people standing out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel that.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel about Horseshoe Bend. I've never made that extra jaunt to go see it because it felt like once I saw on the 2-Lane Life channel that they had gone and it had been built out and, like kind of not developed like buildings and stuff, but like built out some. I was like, it's probably a little bit more touristy and stuff. And so
it's a good little hike to get up there, but I mean, it's a roadside attraction.
Yeah.
Those are always going to be overran.
Yeah. And it always seemed like it, to me, I don't know where I'd be going, but it seemed like it was just enough out of the way that I'm like, I'm good. I think it's when I'm going back and forth between here and Durango to Four Corners, because I'll do that in a straight shot. I think that's like 900 miles or something like that. And I'll do that in a straight shot. So when I'm like just trying to get to Durango, I'm not wanting to veer off, just go.
Yeah, because if you go up through Flagstaff and then cut over through Monument Valley and all that, like you'd have to go quite a bit north to hit Horseshoe Bend.
Yeah, that's it. Because I'll just go through Kayenta, and from Kayenta there's that Chevron gas station there that then juts north into Monument Valley. But if you just keep going, whatever road that is, you just keep going. That's that's how you get,
takes you into like Farmington and all that.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. And then to the actual Four Corners, like you go past the actual Four Corners on the Indian Reservation.
Yeah, that was kind of underwhelming when I went there.
Yeah, but at least it was on the way, like literally, 30 feet out of the way, for me to go the way I go from here straight to Durango, you go right past the entrance.
Maybe one of the most enjoyable attractions that you've stopped at and experienced on the road? Like maybe like kind of you were talking about the Statue of Liberty. Yeah,
that was pretty surreal. Just because I've never been on the East Coast. Like I've never been to New York City. Like I went to Washington D.C. a year or two before I retired to go to the Pentagon for something. And I was able to have a few hours at the end of that trip to just kind of blast around and see some of that stuff. But that was it. So I've never been on the East Coast at all. So that was kind of surreal. But, my kids asked me that this morning. I got up kind of early and went and met my two boys for my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and then Father's Day obviously tomorrow. So they wanted to take me out, and they were both asking me the same question, like, what was your favorite thing? And I still can't think of one attraction, one spot, like, oh, this was fucking rad. I think it's just, I don't want this to sound super cliche, but it's just like I can see it in my head, like riding, hammering down a road, and the sun setting behind us, and Roji's right here, and Jerry, like we're all here, and we're just fucking hammering down the road, and it's just like fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Like the sunset's just right, and we're just fucking six dudes flying down the fucking highway, trying to get somewhere, before it gets too dark.
I know that feeling.
That's it. Or I remember going through, I think it was Minnesota, because that was kind of us having a surreal moment at the time. Like, all right, I'm in fucking Minnesota. Number one, like, never thought I'd be riding a motorcycle through Minnesota, but it was, sun had just recently come up, and there's all these big windmills and green grass, and it's just perfect out. And I just remember kind of looking around like, this is fucking cool.
It's like the most in the moment sometimes you can be, and I think what you're talking about is true in the moment.
It is, and it's so cliche to say it's not the destination, it's the fucking journey. That's it. It's like, no, there isn't one place that was like, oh, this was the best thing I ever did was getting to the Tail of Dragon. No, it was, I remember there was one road that we took into wherever we stayed the night prior, and it had been raining all morning, and then it finally had stopped a little bit, and it was the first time I remember being on a smaller 2-lane road, because we had just been hammering across the 40, for days, and then I don't remember where we were at, but I remember like, oh, we're kind of on a 2-lane road, and like we're in this valley kind of thing, and it's a river and green and trees and still a little wet and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like this is fucking cool. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So just to ask if there's, one certain place. No, it's I can see things in my head right now from certain rides. Like I remember coming back from Sturgis a few years ago, and we stayed in Needles, and we got up and got on the road at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and we're going through the desert between Needles and and
Blythe.
Blythe or something like that. And it's those little desert roads that are just dipping and winding, and the sun's coming up. Beautiful sunrise. I've got buddies riding right next to me. Like, I'll never forget that one.
Yeah.
I remember riding out. I remember a ride going out east. I think it was when I did that my first solo longer ride. And I left here, early before the sun came up. So I got over the mountains and dropped down bottom of that grade. I was just going along the 8, kind of towards El Centro, and the sun was coming up. It's desert, nice and cool, and it was just like, fucking, this is rad, So I remember that, and I remember chasing a fucking thunderstorm from Durango, Colorado. Last year for Four Corners, so I was riding straight through, and a thunderstorm kicked in right around west of Flagstaff. And I'm like, okay, hope, it's gonna, it seemed like it was going from southwest, kind of northeast-ish. And it was, I was like, okay, it's going to go across the 40. Like, I'll, maybe have to ride through it for a little bit. But that fucker just hung out. And it seemed like it went just cruising down the 40 with me all goddamn night. And I would get close to it, and the storm would kick in, and the wind was so bad that there were a few times where I thought the bike was going to blow out from under me. Mm-hmm. So I had to pull over because it was just so insane. But I can see it in my head riding down the road, the lightning striking, just this huge lightning show. I'm by myself, like, I'll never forget that. So those are the things that I remember, not the final, like, the bar that we stopped. I couldn't tell you, really where we stopped.
You ever in those real sketchy moments of like rain or wind? Yeah. And I remember I was coming back from Sturgis, and I did a long loop home where I went through Salt Lake and back. And, West Texas has pretty gnarly storms that pass through.
Yeah.
And it's like 30 miles to each town, and I'm like 10 out. And
they're just getting crushed.
It's hitting. And you got to watch out there because there's lots of tornadoes that go through those things. Not a lot of structures out there, so it never really does any damage.
Yeah.
And I just remember like just getting hit with the shit and just trying to get my adrenaline up. I was just yelling in my helmet like,
fucking let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Yeah.
Like trying to get like a Viking chant or some shit.
Exactly. Like, not today.
Yeah.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Like every once in a while, man, like I just, you just need that, right? But there's times, man, like on these bikes, especially going through the deserts, the storms that pass through are fucking gnarly. The winds are gnarly. There's a reason why those buildings that are just falling apart on the side of the road are falling apart.
Right.
And they're like 40 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It can be brutal.
And so, like, I don't know. Like, I think that's like, those are some challenging times to get through that.
Yeah.
Do I stop? When do you stop?
Yeah.
Should I really have stopped here?
Yeah.
Like there's all that stuff that happens, and I don't know, man. But it really does, like, it does challenge you, every part of you, to do some of that stuff. Or like you were saying, like hitting that 1,000-mile mark and saying it's only 300 more to go.
Right.
I feel fine.
Yeah.
I'm just going to push through it.
Yeah.
And then being at that last gas stop where there's still another 150 miles to go.
Right.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like pushing yourself to those limits. It's not the smartest thing to do.
No, it's not. But but it's the challenge, and that's we're suckers for that. I think. Yeah, I'm a sucker for it. Yeah.
So you've already packed in 10,000 miles plus in a month and a half.
11,500 since May. I left San Diego May 12th, and got back from Oregon this last Sunday. So that was June
It's roughly 1 month.
Yeah, it was a month. Yeah, it was basically, it was 4 weekends. Yeah, and then, so that was 11,000. That was to 11,300, 11,500-ish. Yeah.
Well, what's the rest of your year looking like?
Okay, I don't know. I born free. Got to do it because it's just right up the road. I'm sure Sturgis will happen. I have no plans. I haven't planned that the last couple of years. I just go and figure it out as I go. But I'm sure I'll do that. Four Corners is always a good event. We've got we're going to do Kernville. We'll do the Kernville camp out in October, and I'm sure there'll be some other stuff that'll come up, and jump in there for those. But it's funny when we got to the end, when we pulled into Solvang at the end of that ride. Like, people were asking, we're at Live Fast. They're like, I bet you're just tired. I bet you just want to go home. And, I'm like, dude, I'm ready to just turn around and do it in reverse. Just, like, you just get in that mindset, that mode of get up, go, just the stuff that we were seeing and the experience. And I was ready to just turn around and do it all over again.
You feel like it's like it's kind of not an unattainable, but an unmanageable high doing this, where it's like, because traveling, being away, all the responsibilities, like you're kind of leaving them at home.
You're running. Yeah. No doubt about it.
Running. That's a good way to put it.
That's it. Yeah. I'm a runner. That's for sure. I do like to run. And I think, some people will say that I'm running. I think in my head, I'm just chasing adventure. I was telling a very close friend a story this morning about how I don't like fishing. And I was explaining why I don't like fishing. And at the end of the story, I was like, except for one time I was fishing the Seychelles Islands, which is off the east coast of Africa, north of Madagascar. I'm like, I was fucking fishing north of Madagascar, I'm kind of addicted to adventure. I sailed on an aircraft carrier through the Straits of Magellan, like I've flown, special forces into landing zones in Iraq. Like, I'm kind of a junkie for adventure. So some people will say I'm running. Some people will say I need to grow up. But some people will say I need to be in this little box and don't get outside of this box. But that's just not going to happen. Like, that's just not me. And try to keep me in that box, and it's not going to go well.
Yeah, I wonder how, if you really think about it, and I don't want to get too far off in the weeds in this conversation because I don't even know much about it, but on my own side of things. But, like my life, I've gotten to those times where I was like, I like being on the road more than anything else in my life, more than all my responsibilities. And then at first I loved coming home. It was like that homesick. That was like something I was always looking forward to when that switch went off, when it was like this drive to get home back to my wife. Then of course, like anything, that becomes numb on both sides. Like, she's not into it anymore. I'm just like, I should have just stayed on the road. You know what I mean? But, I guess where I'm trying to go with this is like, how do you maintain the normalcy of keeping everything together in life and not going like full Scooter Tramp Scotty? You know who he is, right? Yeah. The guy who just sold everything he had in the early 90s and has lived on his bike.
Just gone. Yeah. I'm probably not the right person to answer that question.
I don't think there is an answer for it. I just think it's.
But I honestly, I think it's just a personality thing. Like, if you're an adventurer, that's just what you got to do. And if you're not able to go do it, you're not going to be happy. So whoever you're with needs to understand that and embrace that, and not just put up with it, but encourage it, celebrate you for doing that. And then
I think it'll flip because of
and
that.
then when you're being celebrated and like, that's amazing, I'm proud of you for achieving this thing that's super important to you, then you're like, okay, yeah. Then you're excited.
Yeah. For that person.
To come back, and then to, but if it doesn't go that way, and deep down in your soul that you have to do that stuff, and then you're not celebrated for doing it, then when you turn around and start heading west again,
you're dreading getting yelled at or not, I get it. Yeah, that's completely understandable. And, I feel like that's why a lot of people that I used to travel with have kind of stopped.
Yeah.
Which the ultimatum probably came and whatnot, which I would never tell somebody, yeah, man, leave her. Fucking, let's go drink beer in fucking Missoula.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that.
But if the person is really driven and, feels the urge and the calling from within to go do it, they're going to do it, So, there's not very many people that really, want to go and travel and explore.
Yeah.
And be that adventurous, I think majority of people are very, very happy riding the corner bar and hanging out on their couch watching, Sons of Anarchy. And it's great. No offense, absolutely. I often wish that was me.
Yeah.
Like today, I wanted some tacos, so I didn't just go to the fucking taco shop right around the corner. I went down to Mexico. It's like, I got to go to fucking Mexico.
Yeah, and then you
to get
were
tacos.
Originally talking about ripping up to Phoenix just to meet me to ride back.
I was going to get up tomorrow morning and early and go meet you in Phoenix and turn around and come back.
And I was riding here in the fucking heat and thinking about that. And I was like, you're fucking insane. Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a 750-mile day, essentially.
Yeah. I did that for Arizona Bike Week. I rode out to Cave Creek and back in a day. And part of the motivation was the nearest Waffle House is in Phoenix. So that was part of the excitement of going. Was like, okay, I'm going to go show my face in Cave Creek, say hi to a few people, support a couple of people. And then I was there for, 45 minutes and I was like, I'm fucking over this. Like, directions to Waffle House. That's it. And I think I spent more time sitting at Waffle House with a big smile on my face and a whole table full of, the All-American whatever breakfast, just smiling. And
didn't we eat Waffle House when you came to Texas?
I did. The morning. Yeah, that morning, because you were still working, you were still busy. But yeah, I got up and I was super excited. I crushed some Waffle House. I do love Waffle House. It's funny because on this trip, once you get east of here, Waffle Houses become more prevalent. And we stayed in, where were we? Memphis, Tennessee, which is not an amazing, an amazing town.
There's better towns before and after.
Yeah, I don't.
Cool people there, but
I'm
cool
sure.
history there too. But it's just edgy.
Oh my god, yeah, it was. But so I had been pushing the day before. I'm like, Waffle House, and all the other guys were like, "Oh, that's trash," blah blah blah, and I said it one more time, like, man, some Waffle House would really be good. And so then Roji each night would kind of send a group text out like, okay, meet at the bikes or here for breakfast or kickstands up at whatever time, just so that we had knew our marching orders. And so that next morning when we got up or the night before, we were at some shithole hotel in Memphis, Tennessee, like bad. He sends out the group text like, all right, and then we're going to Waffle House in the morning. I was like, yes. I was so excited. And they were complaining about it the whole way there, But once we got there and the food came, everyone was like, "Oh man, this is really good." I'm like, "Yeah, it's fucking good.
It's consistent.
It is consistently awesome."
Because, you know, there's 3 breakfast chains that are prevalent across the country. IHOP, Denny's, and Waffle House in most parts, right? Denny's is up and down.
Yeah.
You never know which tweaker is in the back cooking.
Right, yeah.
And if your waitress or waiter is tweaking with them. Right?
Yeah.
At Waffle House, you know they're all tweaking. And they're in tweaker,
Unison. Yeah. They're all, synchronized. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I've never had a bad experience at Waffle House.
You know,
I mean, I haven't gone at the 2 a.m. kind of thing that people are laughing
I've been
about.
around for those,
like that. You know,
growing up in Dallas, we have Waffle Houses everywhere.
On every corner. It's like Starbucks probably on
exactly.
like every fucking corner.
And certain parts, like on my side of town, like there's a Waffle House, almost like 7 of them within like a mile of each one, another mile apart.
Really?
They're like McDonald's almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's like you be coming home like, oh, that one's too packed. Let's go to the next one down the street.
Yeah.
And then by the time you hit the 6th one, there's for sure going to be one that's not.
Yeah.
And, but I get, you know, we joke about this with the homies a lot, but when you're traveling on a bike, depending on what time you come into towns or what time, whatever, you don't always have the luxury of finding you don't have a local to show you, and you don't have any way to find that gem of a place, right?
Yeah.
And so that fucking shining beam of light called Chili's is right there.
There
dude.
it is. It's consistent.
And it's consistent.
Yeah.
You know?
That's it. Yeah. I am not super picky when it comes to eating on the road. Like, I don't care. My joke is it'll make a turd. Like, I don't care. Just whatever. I just need something to make a turd.
If you go to the Chili's and you talk to, you know, your waiter, waitress, and just say, hey, like, what's the area here? Is there like a bar scene? Mm-hmm. Then they're like, yeah. If you go downtown, like, there's a couple bars that stay open all night. Bam. Now we have found a local and extracted some information out of it, and now we can, proceed to the next spot. And whatnot. So I don't know. It's because I always tell the dudes, like, you guys know the places we're going to go. Why don't y'all spend the hours researching these areas and figure out, like, hey, man, I found this cool bar.
Nah, man, I'm good. Like, nah, I'm good. Just gonna follow you.
Yeah. It's all your responsibility. And then they get mad when you go to Chili's.
Right, exactly. Like, well, you got the same Google machine on your phone. It's the same machine, man. It's not hard.
Dude, like I said, when I came through here today, I had probably one of the best steaks I ever had in my life last night in Phoenix. And then coming, from Phoenix to here, I was like, you know what? I want to stop in Yuma and have lunch. Mm-hmm. And I kind of want more steak. So, and Texas Roadhouse has a very consistently decent steak.
It's good, man.
And it's less than $20.
It's good. That Texas toast that they have there is really good too. Or the bread or whatever that is.
The bread. Yeah. So I got a steak salad.
Yeah. Steak salad.
And it was fucking fire.
That's amazing.
So,
that's funny.
But yeah, like, I don't know, man. There's just so much, so much stuff, like traveling on the bikes on the road. There's just like so many different dynamics that, I was thinking about this on this trip because packing was a challenge on this one versus what I'm used to having. And I started thinking about my first time I ever went on a trip, and I was thinking about that I had 3 different pairs of shoes, and one of them happened to be a set of boots.
Yeah.
So I had a saddlebag for shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was just thinking about how, like, over years, like, you start to chip away at understanding things.
Yeah. And,
I there was a point in time when I would just do the, like, buy underwear and then throw them away thing.
Right.
But then, I got a setup now that's got, like compression bags.
Okay.
That have dirty clothes sides.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's sealed in it. So basically, when you throw your socks and underwear in there, it's not like the odor's
funk
not,
from that is getting into
So there's just like a lot of those type of things that you start to kind of dial in more. Mm-hmm. And
I way overpacked for this trip, and I've told myself on every long trip, I'll pack and then I'll take half of it out. And it's still, this time, still way overpacked. I mean, it worked out fine because it was a good backrest for the whole trip. But yeah, I ended up wearing, I'd wear one pair of Dickies, for most of the week.
Yeah.
And then when we would get into a town for a rally for that weekend, then I'd get out a fresh pair, and then I was wearing the same, I like wearing long sleeve Pro Club t-shirts because the Pro Clubs, the wrist things are firm,
my wrists are fucked right now because of that.
They don't blow up, they're solid around the neck and they breathe, it's good. So I would wear, probably two of those during the week, and it worked out because it wasn't super hot, so we weren't sweating nonstop. Like we were layered up the whole time. Like in the summertime, going through 110 degrees, probably one shirt a day. But yeah, I mean, I just ended up wearing the same shit, and then I'd wash it, that weekend when we get somewhere. So I carried around 2 flannels, never used them. I carried around, like 6 different t-shirts that I never wore. Yeah.
Do you ever plan for the fact that you're probably going to get more t-shirts on the trip?
You know what? As many times as I've done these trips and I know that that's going to happen, no, I don't even. No. And on this trip, same thing. Like I'm getting t-shirts and I'm like, why did I bring all these shirts? I know I'm going to get more shirts.
Yeah.
Like, and every time I go, I'm like, nope, didn't even think about it. Every fucking time. I always, yeah. So I ended up, like when I went up to Oregon, same thing. I packed, I left on a Thursday, came back on a Sunday, and, I still packed like 5 t-shirts or something. And I got like 6
while you were there.
While I was there, people just kept giving me shirts and stuff. And, so I came back and I've got, 15 fucking shirts,
yeah.
Then I packed some up there and got a whole bunch while I was there. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I need to next long trip. I'll cut way back.
Yeah. Like I said, for me with the, with all the camera gear, it's kind of,
well, your whole tour pack is,
yeah, dude,
is camera gear. I mean, that's the thinner.
Yeah. I'm still trying to keep the bike looking good.
Yeah.
Right. Because, like I essentially I can just pull the tour pack off when I get somewhere and then the bike's looking good for photos. Bam,
Right.
go hit it. Right.
Yeah.
Or if I'm riding, it still looks decent with the tour pack on it. So if someone, like today when LFG dudes
guys
saw me,
was that a
in,
coincidence? A total coincidence.
Yeah.
That's
I was
funny.
literally exiting right here.
Oh, okay.
For your exit.
Okay.
And I recognized him immediately hanging out the window, or he was driving and whatnot. But
that's funny.
it's like that happens a lot, especially when you have a bike that's uniquely painted.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to stand out.
So
it's not just another Black Dyna.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like that club that we saw blasting through the intersection after tacos. Like, yeah, a bunch of Black Dynas.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of the, the deal. It's like it's you want to come on this trip. For me, I want to come off these trips with growth in my photography and now video as well.
Yeah.
Right. So there's nothing worse than being somewhere and feeling like you didn't get the photo or take the shot or take the video that you wanted to.
Yeah. I don't know if I've had this conversation with you, but 20 years in the Navy and, being overseas a ton, all kinds of foreign ports, I think I have 6 pictures of myself in 20 years of the military.
Damn.
So when I retired and started looking back on stuff, I'm like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I got nothing really to remember that stuff. And part of it was I was very anti-camera when we got into port, because we'd get into port and then we'd go have a good time, And so it was almost like nobody better be bringing any fucking cameras.
Yeah.
Like cameras are not allowed. So that was really, I think that was part of it. But, I have no pictures. And so once I started doing all of these rides and riding, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm going to take pictures of everything.
Yeah.
All over the place, like Dude, I think I had just up in, I think the trip up to Oregon and back, I think I had 50 video clips and, 100 pictures on my phone.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, I'm not going to, I want to capture it all and try to remember that because
pictures are like, they're rad, dude. I love being able to go back and see stuff. And, when my grandfather passed away in 19 and I started trying to find pictures of me and him together and there wasn't any.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I was like, man, and this might be a little bit dark, but like we ride bikes, man.
Yeah.
We have a close friend in Dallas that's literally still in a coma right now.
Yeah.
And so, pictures become like that personal thing that it's kind of for you.
Yeah.
And Instagram is turning into something that's for everybody, but realistically,
it's for you.
It's for you.
Yeah.
It's when you're scrolling through your phone sometimes, and I've said this on the podcast, but I've been consistently on Instagram since 12.
Yeah.
On my personal and 15 on my business, right? And I love going back on my personal to day one.
Yeah.
And just scrolling through my own photos and remembering all the good times because that's all we put on there.
Of course, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Just kind of being, like you said earlier, like grateful for that kind of stuff. Like grateful for, like, fuck, man, I got to do that. I got to be there. I got to do that then. That helped grow into this. And
do other guys in your group take pictures or video at all, or are you the guy?
I'm the guy.
I'm the guy as well. So it is very seldom that I'll have pictures of me or a video of me riding. It's few and far between.
The main guy that shot video on all of our trips is James. We call him Franz, his last name. He's videoed every one of our trips, and he makes a little video, and it's funny because like when we did the recap podcast after we were done because we capped it at 3 hours.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah.
We stayed and finished off all the beer we had, and we ended up throwing his video that he made for the last trip up on the big screen in the studio.
Okay.
And we're just all in there. Like, that was a great experience a year later to sit in there, toast it up a little bit.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, dude, you remember that? Like,
exactly.
No way. That was, And so you start remembering stuff that.
And we talked about it that night. We was like, well, he didn't produce a video for people. It's not like, it's not like the YouTube content I'm trying to create, right? But goddamn if it doesn't work for what he did it for.
Yeah.
And, so James has always done that for us.
Okay.
Big Will Cody has talked like he wants to get a camera, but he hasn't quite made the jump yet.
Yeah.
He likes being on camera pretty much. Jaden like seems like he wants to get into things, but Jaden's also like squirrel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that.
And then the other guys are just kind of like
along for the ride.
Yeah.
Happy to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, every once in a while, like, I get around people that do take photos, and I feel awkward because I'm not used to being in people's videos and photos and stuff. So, but yeah, it's like, it's super helpful. Like all the stuff you were doing today, it's like, man, that's cool because now I get to put on the videos that I'm going to make some other perspective that I couldn't physically create.
Absolutely.
And, I don't want to be like, hey, Juan, all right. All weekend, carry my GoPro,
and just video me everywhere I go. Yeah,
I was like, that's not why I came here. You know what I mean? It's like I'm going to turn you into the help as I'm staying at your house.
Right, exactly. But I'm happy to shoot video.
I appreciate what
while
you did.
We're riding. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and I think we got some fun rollers today, especially as the sun was setting behind us. Some of those, I think some of those.
We get to a certain point tomorrow, like when we're cruising the beach or something, I'll throw the big camera on my strap on.
Yeah.
And we'll get some like rollers with that. I love shooting that kind of stuff. Yeah, man.
The ones you shoot, like the actual still pictures while you're flying, those are those are so rad.
Usually the way we do those is I ride on somebody's bike backwards.
Okay.
And so I get like, the problem is that sometimes I'll get, in a run, like we'll do like 5 miles and I'll shoot like 1,500 photos.
Yeah.
And of course, like out of that 1,500, maybe there's 100 good ones, and then you like maybe there's 20 like killer,
Really
ones,
good ones.
you know?
Yeah.
But you know, at the same time, it's like I did it for the down south camp out. Got a lot of badass ones. At our camp out recently, I rode backwards and videoed a lot of things with the big camera and got a couple good shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like whenever I want to do my bike, I got to get someone else to ride my bike.
Yeah.
And then I got to find another. It's like old school going to the DMV and trying to get a motorcycle license. You got to get all these people involved to go.
Like, dude, I just want some pictures of my bike. That's all. That's all. First world problems, man.
Yeah, dude.
First world problems. Whatever. It's fun. That's why we do it, man. It's, people love it.
Yeah.
So
it's cool to see it and do it and
be able to share it.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. We're at 2 hours and
awesome.
I'm trying to keep all the on the road podcasts like
right around 2 hours.
1.5 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
That way it's like it doesn't take up the entire time. Plus I know we're both tired. I can see it. I hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
A
little bit. No, I'm having a good time though.
Oh yeah,
I'm having a good time.
We gotta have energy for tomorrow though.
Yes, sir. Oh, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll wake up, no problem.
Dude, it's been real.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like I said the first time, super honored, man. Like I've been following you for a long time and the knowledge that you have in the industry of things that you've done. And I was talking to a friend earlier today, kind of explaining. I was talking to my kids because I was telling my kids that you're coming and staying, and trying to explain to them, like, yeah, he's interviewed, everybody in the industry, so the depth of knowledge and understanding of the industry in all aspects, is pretty significant, and so, to be a meme dude, to be on and then to be asked to come on again, I think
the meme thing for you was it was the entry. It was the entry to a much more complex person that had a lot more human experiences that you could share and relate with people. But the memes were kind of like it's kind of like the mask. Yeah, you know what I mean, to the real, like, they say like a lot of comedians joke to hide pain or something like that. And not saying
true. No, it's true. I think there was a lot of that. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because every podcast that you've been on, whether it's Ride Boundless, Ray's podcast, the Throttle Roots, obviously LFG, 2 Lane Life stuff, it's like you always come on these things and you speak well and it resonates with people. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and so having you on the podcast is an easy yes whenever we connect.
I appreciate it.
So
it's an honor.
All right, bud.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, I'd like to thank Mr. Papa Juan for taking me around San Diego and showing me all the cool spots, the cool rides, and being very hospitable the entire time I was there. If you guys aren't following him, check him out. Papa Juan El Gato on the gram. Great follow, good dude. Rides miles, cares about this motorcycle scene and industry, and can't thank him enough for being a homie. Anyway, check out our podcast sponsors, guys. There's some good stuff there for you. And help support this podcast. In the meantime, go down below in the link wherever you're listening to this podcast. There are links to all the great sponsors that keep this thing running and gunning, as well as a link to our Patreon where you can enter for a chance to win a free Simpson motorcycle helmet every month in 2023, as well as get some unreleased content that we are currently working on some more. I know I say that all the time, but true story, bro. I promise. Anyway, you guys have a great 4th of July weekend, and we're going to get back to producing more episodes for you next week. All right, guys. Peace.